It's time to talk leadership. Oh, my table's ready. Technology is changing the restaurant industry. Find out how right here on The Leadership Voice. Welcome to The Leadership Voice. I'm your host, Jay Barbuto. Today's show is about leveraging technology in the restaurant industry. Joining us are Roshan Mendis of Lazy Dog Restaurants and Howard Gordon, formerly of the Cheesecake Factory. We also have Professor Jennifer Chandler delivering today's leadership lesson. We have a lot of great things to discuss, so let's start things off with today's quote of the day. Today's quote comes from Barak Hershevitz, president of International Luxury Hotel Association. Technology, if used right, can improve fine service. A good balance of high tech versus high touch is key. It's now time to introduce our first guest, Roshan Mendis. Roshan began his career with the Sims family working at Mimi's Cafe during high school. He went on to manage and open new restaurants for Mimi's while in college and continued growing with them as a young adult. He then joined the team that co-founded Lazy Dog Restaurant in 2002. Roshan has been integral in the company's growth, which is approaching 50 locations and over 8,500 team members by 2024. Roshan currently drives the strategic implementation of new restaurant locations while cultivating training teams and strategies for scaling and growth. He also has served on the board of advisors for the Center for Leadership since 2016. Please welcome good friend Roshan Mendis.
It's great to be here. I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about Lazy Dog Restaurants. How did this brand form and how did it originate? And it's really taken off.
Absolutely. Lazy Dog started, as you said, in 2003 in Huntington Beach, California. And we have been fortunate to experience about 20% growth a year. Now we're across 8 different states. And new locations coming up in Alpharetta, Georgia, in Oak Brook, Chicago, and San Jose in Q1 of 2023. What we are is a scratch-made American food and drinks in our kitchen with seasonally inspired ingredients. And the concept really is inspired from Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And, when it comes to the small town hospitality, the small town values, the spirit that is within the 4 walls, and including the design, which resembles a modern lodge feel to it. We are a founder-led, purpose-driven company, and we really exist to nourish connections between the guests, the teammates, and the communities that we do business in.
So if somebody has never been to Lazy Dog and they walked into Lazy Dog, Where would they be taken?
We want to take you for an hour and a half on vacation to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. We want you to feel that spirit. We want you to taste it in the product. We want you to be able to experience it in the service. And we want you to really sit back, relax, and let us do the work.
And I've been to Lazy Dog a few times, and I can say that the setting and the atmosphere, the aesthetics, really does have a consistent theme across locations. So I think you folks are absolutely doing that. So let's talk about technology. How has technology changed Lazy Dog Restaurants?
Technology, a lot of things really got accelerated in our industry when the pandemic hit. Things like online ordering and delivery, payment systems, advanced online reservation systems, inventory and ordering, all these things. There's a lot of data that's out there, right? And data increased our knowledge of operational efficiencies as well as the guest habits. So I think that had a big part in it. Customer expectations also evolved, and they seem to be more accepting of technology within the restaurant space now. When I look at tech, really, there's 2 ways that technology can impact restaurants. It's either you're cutting costs or you're improving the experience through service, right? So I look at the different segments. You have QSR, which is quick service restaurants. You have casual dining. You have fine dining. When you look at all these different segments, technology can be used in different ways, and the priorities are different for each segment, right? So if you take a look at quick service restaurants, they are going to use technology to maybe save labor, to increase the speed, and ultimately improve your margins, right? At Lazy Dog, we're focused heavily on the guest experience. How do we improve that experience? We want our teammates to be able to do their job more efficiently, and with the time that they save with those efficiencies, be able to deliver on the experience of service. Furthermore, maybe provide them with some information that they're able to use in the moment through technology to make a better service experience, right? Some of the ways that we've created efficiencies in our restaurants are in the training programs. Your audience that we are training today grew up on an iPhone. And you can't give them a piece of white paper and tell them to go study and read the manual. You've got to evolve and adopt. We've improved and organized communication between our guests and the operation in real-time moment. Things like takeout, to-go ordering, they're able to communicate back and forth. The seating system is able to communicate back and forth directly with the guest. Payment systems, I think when it comes to payments, recently we made it much more convenient for guests to be able to pay. The other things that we've done to reduce some of the business complexities really are things like kitchen display screens. They help with production, convenient scheduling systems for our teammates, and then more recently, technology around repair and maintenance. Think of it like an Uber. Within a click of a button, our manager can call out multiple vendors to fix an issue, and that piece of equipment is tracked on this app. And it's a local company called EcoTrack that we partnered up with that is making tremendous headway. So those are some of the ways that technology is impacting.
And it's really changing the way Lazy Dog runs its operation, as well as it's changing the customer experience. It's really impacting it at both ends.
Absolutely.
So what does the future hold from a technology standpoint? What will the restaurant industry see in its future?
The industry in general, there's a couple of things I think we've got to keep in mind. I think robotics and AI are two things that we should be focused on. Robots are going to do more in the kitchens. That's a given thing. Fast food is already doing this. It's really helping with consistency. It's helping with accuracy. It's helping with speed. What it's going to do is robotics really is going to focus on automating the preparation of repetitive, common food items like French fries or burgers or chips. There's robots out there, the two of them that are named Flippy and Chippy. And Flippy is able to take that burger, put it on the griddle, flip it at the right time, pick it up, and put it on the bun, right? Simple technology. It's a repetitive process that happens. And within robotics, I think another thing to look for is the information that can be provided for the guest. But then I think the driverless, the delivery factors, there's going to be driverless vessels pulling up to your home with hot food hot and cold food cold. There's already drones that are being tested that's going to drop the food at your front door. If you desire, potentially dropping it in your patio table where you're sitting down. I think those things are to come in robotics. When it comes to AI, AI's got to reduce the complexities of the business as businesses become more complex today. Quick service restaurants are experimenting with conversational ordering. What conversational ordering, you see it in quick service, but it's probably going to be on your table. What that is really an Alexa sitting on your table, and you're ordering through that device. You're going to start seeing fast food go away from order takers and strictly go to kiosks. Once that order is made on the kiosk, you're going to have someone cooking it and putting it into a hot or a cold locker and sending you a text message saying it's ready. and that's why you're going to pick it up. These things are already happening in places like Asia. McDonald's has done quite a bit to test some of these things. Sweet Greens is a solid concept that already has announced that they're going to have a restaurant without humans in it within the next 2 years. Another thing looking ahead, I think our tech team at Lazy Dog is really excited about is technology is with low code and no code engineering. And what that really means, simply said, is software has become a lot easier to build today. And what used to be the oracles of the world, the giants, that behemoths of the world that you had to go to one place to get everything done, is no longer relevant. The smaller companies out there, they can build these pieces really well. You know, let's take inventory, for example. They can focus in on inventory and build it. And then you take a talented technology team like we have, and they get everyone talking to each other and working together, similar to what the larger companies used to do. That's exciting for our technology team. And what it does, it really positions us in a way to be innovative industry leaders. You know, you can kind of think of what you want to do and be able to talk to a team, and they go find the smaller companies that are able to bring us all together and get the product working. And we're able to do things our way, the Lazy Dog way, and that's exciting.
So what advice would you give an aspiring restaurateur who came to you and said, I want to start a restaurant? A lot of times people say, well, people say I'm a good cook, so I should open a restaurant. Or
do that.
What advice would you give someone that wants to have a successful, a thriving career in the restaurant industry?
You know, I think the biggest thing is you've got to be able to find the right company that you want to hang your hat on. And, you know, I look at this business, and it is really one of the only businesses out there that from an hourly teammate, you can get to a six-figure salary in a matter of a couple of years. And there's not too many industries that you can do that with. And Lazy Dog has so many success stories. This is one of the things that I'm most proud about, of hourly teammates getting to directors, managers getting to VP positions within the company. You know, you got to have great leaders to drive retention, right? So leaders from within the company, a company that is looking for people that are looking to grow talent, is important, and invest in them. And, you know, as a growth company, we have so many individuals that have not only grown within the restaurant space, but they graduate college and they have gotten into our IT department, our marketing department, our training department, and the impact that they have on the company is tremendous because they understand it from an operator point of view with their specification that they're in within the company.
Yeah, companies always talk about getting the right people on the bus. And in this way, we say people, employees, folks that want to have a career, get on the right bus.
Yep. You're absolutely right. The second thing is probably as simple as it may sound. You've got to focus on the fundamentals of the business. The fundamentals of the business, you know, look out there and understand who is doing the fundamentals right. What are they? Well, you got to, the food's got to be good, right? It's got to, the service has to be great, and the ambiance has to be tremendous. The food's got to be fresh, hot, fast, taste great. The service has to be hospitable, you know, impeccable, just a memorable experience, right? And the ambiance really has to be comfortable, clean. It's got to be inviting. And if you can find a brand out there as you're doing your homework to figure out where you're going to hang your hat on, that has all those three things, but are people focused first, you're probably with the right brand. If you're not, you can give me a call.
So a lot of restaurateurs, they have their restaurants. They're kind of, I'm going to call them old school restaurateurs. They want to keep things simple. They want to keep it old, kind of the way it's always been. They resist some of these new innovations. They resist the new technologies. What advice do you have for these restaurateurs that are resisting the innovations and resisting where technology can take this industry?
I would say, Jay, that there is a base level that you really have to adopt, or you might hurt the business. And what I mean by that is, as someone that is growing a business or looking to grow a business, I would take a hard look at what the mature businesses are doing. And if they're all doing it, most likely I should. The two things really that come to mind are probably online ordering and server tablets, right? Since the pandemic, that technology has come so far, and by not choosing to do some of those things, you could get left behind. And when it comes to convenience and organization, those two things do a lot for the business, right? For more advanced technology, you got to take a look and see what fits your brand, what's best for you, what you want. Change is difficult. That is true throughout history, right? But by adopting technology, I think you're able to drive top line sales, and that's an important thing to keep in mind, and ultimately become more profitable. I think an example that I have is probably now 15 years ago, but today you see this technology everywhere, is the kitchen display system when we were trying to bring that in. So when you look at the evolution of getting a check into the kitchen, it used to be you wrote it on a piece of paper and you handed it to the person, and the person, that's the chef or the wheel person they call it, sat there and put all the papers in front of you and called it out. Yelled it out to everyone that's on the line, right? And then they would yell at them to see how long it was taking 10 different times. That went to printers. And now when the server clicked the button, the check came into the kitchen, all the different stations, and everyone would start cooking. There still was a fundamental flaw in that, and that is that a steak is gonna take 20 minutes to cook, and a salad is gonna take 5 minutes to cook, right? So the salad was made in 5 minutes, and it's what we call in the restaurant business dying in the window. Lettuce is wilting and dressing is getting nice and warm while the steak is getting ready. And what the kitchen display system did was pulled all that out, and the steak went right away, and the salad went into the kitchen on the computer at a timely fashion. And when it all came up, it was communicated to the teammate that's supposed to take it to the table. So it made the process much more organized, our cooks and chefs who resisted it will never, ever let us go back to that.
So it's really a project management techniques and project management softwares that are just revolutionizing the way the kitchen operates.
Absolutely.
Timing things, PERT charts put into an automated analytic system. That's terrific. Well, Roshan, I want to thank you for being on the show and talking with us about technology in the restaurant industry. We're going to ask you to stick around and come back on for our leadership panel with Howard Gordon here in just a few minutes.
Sounds great. Looking forward to it.
It's now time for a featured segment of the Leadership Voice. It's today's Did You Know? Today's Did You Know comes from restaurantdive.com. A restaurant survey reported that 53% of millennial TikTok users have visited a restaurant after seeing it on that social media platform. Now is the time for restaurants to leverage technology and strengthen its social media presence to bring more customers through the door. It's now time for our Leadership Countdown. Today's Leadership Countdown is brought to you by ehl.edu. Today we bring you the 7 top restaurant technology trends to watch in 2022. Number 7, air purification technology. Number 6 is QR codes. Number 5 is automated inventory management software. The number 4 restaurant technology trend is digital kitchen boards. Number 3 is online table reservation systems. Number 2 is contactless payment. And the number 1 trend to watch in 2022 is online ordering systems and delivery apps. Don't go anywhere. We have Howard Gordon in the studio right after this word from the Center for Leadership. The Bringing Learning to Work program is our way of connecting the faculty of Cal State Fullerton with the business community of Orange County and Southern California. We have over 72 training programs that are available via distance or face-to-face. And the faculty come to your company and they deliver the training to your employees.
The Bringing Learning to Work program is really fundamentally, it's leadership programming. We do diversity and emotional intelligence training. We partner with Cal State Fullerton because they had subject matter experts in these fields. And we're really fortunate and privileged to be able to do that.
Many companies can't afford training and development personnel. And so this is a great opportunity to leverage Cal State's faculty to help them develop their learning programs.
The leadership of the center and the students allow me to not only bring leadership development to my company, but allow me to interact with some amazing students who have grit, potential, and just amazing futures in front of them, and I get to take part of that. It's a wonderful feeling.
When your organization is ready to develop its talent, reach out to the Center for Leadership and we'll help get you there. Welcome back to the Leadership Voice. Our next guest is Howard Gordon. Howard is an entrepreneurial hospitality industry leader with extensive experience from strategy development through tactical execution. He has a strong record of sustainable business results as well as continuous improvement through innovation, team development, and a rigorous pursuit of excellence. He has operated a number of hospitality businesses and is best known for his success with the Cheesecake Factory restaurants that earned him international acclaim. Howard was the face of Cheesecake Factory for 12 years, building and managing the Cheesecake Factory brand from 5 restaurants to what has since grown to over 200 in the U.S. In 2008, Howard started Gordon Hospitality Group, which provides consulting and project services for the hospitality and service industries, improving concepts, operations, and technology for business scaling and growth. Please welcome a great person and a good friend, Howard Gordon.
Jay, thanks. It's really good to see you.
It's great to have you on the show to share your wisdom with our audience. Tell us a little bit about your background, how you came to be part of the Cheesecake Factory story, and where your career has taken you since.
I'm third generation in the hospitality restaurant business, 2 degrees in hotel and restaurant management, so I knew what I was getting into. I had a coffee and tea company, met my friend David Overton, who founded Cheesecake Factory, and then decided that we were going to join forces to help build the company. And so I helped build the brand and also manage it, as well as help open over 150 restaurants. Then after that, after about 12 years, I started Gordon Hospitality Group, which was helping friends of mine who were successful in the industry to get better at what they were doing and also help with their scaling for growth nationally and internationally. And now I'm involved as Chief Business Development Officer and partner at Curate Technology, which is a AI-based company which will do digital menu optimization with pay and order at the table, analytic, data mining analytics, and it's with a non-downloadable app, which is with tapping it onto a QR code, and it's called Insta App. So, which is pretty amazing for the industry because that's where we're going.
So how, and clearly your current project is doing this, but how is technology changing the restaurant industry?
Amazingly. You talked about Cheesecake Factory. Actually, they were really one of the first companies. There used to be called Kitchen Display Systems, or KDS. Cheesecake Factory made it KMS, which was a kitchen management system. And so you weren't just displaying, you were actually using it. And so they were the first company to be able to do recipes in the back, both in English and in Spanish, pressing a button and you were able to hear, see and hear the complete recipe. And so that started 20 years ago. Now, one of the things, and especially through the pandemic, was the ability to be able to use a lot of technology like Zoom, which I think has really helped a lot in for meetings. But in the technology, by using digital menu optimization, by using pay and order at the table, really helps you be able to have less staff, that staff to be able to take care of more people. Your guest satisfaction scores are higher, and with especially paying at the table allows for the tables to be turned faster.
Okay. And so thinking about how technology is changing the industry, and it really is amazing, what does the future have in store for the restaurant industry? Because things keep changing and we keep saying, well, whatever it is today, it's going to be different tomorrow.
Yes.
So how is technology going to continue to impact things?
Well, AI is going to be huge. It's going to get more and more. A lot of times, people talk about resistance to, technology, but everybody's got a cell phone. You have it. So it's like, why not use it to its fullest extent? I always hear about new tips for the iPhone, and I learn new things every day. People are going to be using their phones more. That's really the wave of the future. Ordering is going to happen on your phone. Pay is going to happen on your phone. One of the things we have is that if we have a table for 6, when you use Curate, you're able to see live group ordering. So you know what everybody's doing, so you're not double ordering. You can split checks any way you want. So it's really taking care of guest service more than anything, which then helps people come back to your restaurant.
Oh, wow. And I love how technology is so greatly impacting the customer experience.
Yes.
I keep thinking of where things would be headed and where things are going and trending. So as you think about this wave that we're seeing of technology, sort of, I don't want to use the word taking over the restaurant industry, but really elevating the restaurant industry,
Right.
There are still some slow to adapt folks out there that say, oh, I prefer the old-fashioned way. I don't just greet people at the door and, use menus and just, real old school folks. What advice do you have for those folks that resist the technology and the innovations?
Well, one of the great parts of being part of Curate is my expertise in the and experience in the industry. So I know what people are looking for, what they're hesitant to use, and then we're able to answer questions for them to then trust us to be able to move ahead. But you have to have that trust. And then the thing that we found is that people think that they have to have servers come to your table and be part of that ordering system. So if you do that, we can actually split out to be able to do just pay. You want to have servers come and take your order? Great. And then so that gets them thinking, wow, I can turn my table faster if they're able to pay their bill when they want to and not have to wait for somebody to come over to the table. The digital menus, you're really able to see pictures of every one of the items there. It's not just for Asian restaurants and for coffee shops anymore. And so when you see what that looks like, you may order something different than you would have, in the past. So once they get to see it, and then they want to know who you're working with, what other restaurant companies have taken this on. And so we tell them, and then that helps more in them wanting to move ahead with it.
When you have folks that are resistant to technology and then you get them to sort of open up to some things, what are you seeing restaurateurs discovering?
Well, first, that they can do with less labor. Labor is a huge issue in the hospitality industry. And so by doing that, they're able to, again, take care of more customers, be able to do it more efficiently, and obviously make more money.
So restaurateurs, after they do innovate, they're not afterwards saying, I wish I hadn't.
No. Not at all. It's more about how do we get everybody to adapt to it. And so if you have an owner, you have managers, they have to be behind the technology in order for it to go to the staff. But once the staff gets to it, because sometimes they think they're not going to make as much money, but in reality, they're making a lot more.
So there are lots of folks that enter and exit the restaurant industry on a regular basis. So what advice would you give a restaurateur that's just starting out?
Well, I also help mentor, students that are in the hospitality industry. And, some of the things that, I've found is that they have to do what they like. I mean, one of the great things of the hospitality industry is there's so many different facets of it. I mean, you could be in a country club, a restaurant, a hotel, airlines, catering, all of that. And so what is it that hits your fancy? And then with that, looking at, doing, getting to the company, working for them, finding those people. The other thing is that I find by going to conferences and really meeting some of the executives and top people in the industry help you get a little more knowledgeable about what's going on.
Oh, well, terrific. Well, Howard, I want to thank you for being on and talking to us about technology and how it's really changing the restaurant industry. And I'm going to ask that you stick around. We're going to bring Roshan back on. We're going to have a leadership panel. We'll all have some more discussion about this.
Great. Thank you very much.
Terrific. It's now time for our leadership example. Today's leadership example comes from fsrmagazine.com. Here are 12 tech products that should be on every restaurateur's wish list for 2023. It's now time for today's leadership lesson, being delivered by Jennifer Chandler, professor in the management department at Cal State Fullerton. Dr. Chandler specializes in hospitality and service operations. Take it away, Dr. Chandler.
Hello, I'm Dr. Jennifer Chandler. I'm a professor of business at California State University, Fullerton, and I'm here to present to you today's leadership lesson. I do research on service innovation, and I look specifically about how firms adapt to new technologies and the new ways that we're using data. And I'd like to share with you today 3 tips on how to lead innovation, regardless of what type of firm that you are in. My first tip is to encourage an appetite for risk-taking. And sometimes that starts with taking small risks, and then building up the risks. It means embracing new ways of doing things and doing so in such a way that there's no penalty if something wrong happens or if something takes more time, and really emphasizing the learning. Which brings me to point number 2. So for point number 2, I would encourage you to encourage your people to take the time to reflect. I would go so far as to suggest getting them a journal. And what that means is innovation is not linear, meaning all those small starts and stops, we learn a little bit more along the way and we can build on that. But if we're moving so fast that we don't stop to think about what we've learned, then the effort might feel like what we think a failure should be. However, as we all know, there is no such thing as failure, only moments to learn. So I'm of a fail faster, learn faster mindset, as long as you take this time to stop, reflect, and think about what you learn. Moving to a more macro level, my point number 3 is to create a culture of norms that support risk-taking and that support learning and that support asking questions and supporting each other as we embrace any type of new technology. The risk-taking for individuals will feel more comfortable if they're surrounded by people on their team who are supportive of learning. And that is my leadership lesson for today.
Thank you, Professor Chandler, for that insightful leadership lesson. We've brought back our 2 guests for today's leadership panel, Roshan and Howard. Thank you both for sticking around and joining us.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Terrific. So we have a set of questions we're going to ask. You're both going to have a chance to answer these questions. Our first question is about technology. So please, each of you share a restaurant success story involving new technology. Howard, you'll go first.
Well, at Curate, we're working with a couple of big restaurant companies, and their goal was to give better customer satisfaction. And so what we're finding is that their businesses have increased, their loyalty has increased, and ways to be able to give them marketing, but targeted marketing allows them to be very happy that they got into that technology.
And so it's really paying dividends.
Totally.
All right. Roshan, share a technology success story that you've had a chance to witness or experience.
Yeah, Jay, the goal with technology really is to help with organization, communication, and with convenience, right? So going back to the pandemic, right when the pandemic hit, we quickly realized that we needed to implement stronger technology pieces around our to-go business because, frankly, that's all we had left in the middle of the pandemic because no one could come into our dining rooms. So what we did was we pivoted quickly and brought in the best-in-class ordering online platform called Olo. And it was a game changer. Not only did they have the ordering platform, but they also helped us organize within our four walls some of the things that we needed to do to be able to get ahead of our business, to be able to communicate with our guests with what was happening. And when we were able to do that, we were able to help with the guest pickup process by putting in a couple of pieces, technology pieces within the four walls. More recently, we've done payment, made it a lot easier for guests to be able to pay through text to pay or pay at the table, and it's more secure and it's smoother for the guests.
So these are successes, and we love our successes, but there's also moments where we get to learn. So I'd like each of you to share a time when technology failed or when the implementation of technology didn't work out, and each of you share what you learned from that and how we come out of it even better long term. So let's have Roshan go first.
Whew, we could stay here for a while. The one thing,
Pick your favorite one.
You know, the one thing I've learned, Jay, is that over the years, when you're trying to do something new, you're gonna have some failure points with whatever you do. So instead of telling you one story, maybe I'll tell you kind of the things that we've learned is figure out how the technology will work best for you in your business. Give the end user a voice at the table early. Get them to tell you what's wrong with it and build the technology with the end user in mind. Get them to break whatever that piece of technology you're trying to put in. Get them to break it at a much smaller table than rolling it out, because it's really important that you gain the trust of the end user. If you don't gain the trust of the end user and you roll something out, it's a lot harder to get it back over the years. So we've learned that we need to give testing enough time. We need to be able to talk through problems, because these are things that are new to most restaurant spaces that we're doing in our restaurant.
But there's a learning curve, and people should anticipate that there's going to be a little bit of a adjustment period. And just because there's a few trip-ups or a few mistakes along the way, it's not a reason to abandon the technology.
Absolutely. You know, when you keep that vision in mind for that piece of technology you're putting in and the communication is clean and clear, usually you're able to keep the boat rowing in the right direction. So when things go wrong, have that mentality of never settle, figure it out, and we'll make it happen.
Terrific. Howard, it's your turn to share a technology failure or tell it the opposite of a success story.
Well, I think frustration is really a big word for a lot of technology. People not being trained properly, companies that may be a part that say they can do something and that don't. And one of the things we did at Curate is do all in one and do all of it right, and then be able to have support, be able to do that. But there is a lot out there. The companies that have failed, they went out to do marketing as opposed to making sure that the customers that they had really used the technology properly. And there are a lot of companies out there that now have decreased their sales force by 40 to 50% because of that. And they're not getting the kind of response that they should have gotten if they had taken care of their customers correctly. So again, do what you say you're going to do, or don't do it.
And if things do go wrong,
fix it. You know, it's like, because the thing is that if you know the restaurant industry, and one of the reasons I'm part of our team is that I know what can happen in a restaurant. You know, I know the problems. I know the difficulty that occurs, the training that has to happen. And so if you answer those questions ahead of time, you're ahead of the game.
All right, so now we have two really strong restaurateurs with us here on today's show. And now we're going to look for the next big idea. And so developers out there right now are taking out their notebooks. They're saying, all right, what's needed? What's needed? What would be that great next step? So what should technology developers start working on next? And we'll have Howard go first.
Great. Well, the founders of our company are, you know, like I said, are AI graduates from Stanford. So they know what's going on. We're talking about kiosks. We're talking about, you know, just other ways to give better guest satisfaction. You know, robotics we were talking about. Ways to make life simpler for a restaurateur or a restaurant company that can be rolled out to many locations nationwide as well as worldwide. Because this technology, you know, like we've talked about, a lot has started to occur outside of the United States before it even got here. And so, but it's to make it better. So it's, you know, that's it.
All right. So that would be the next big thing.
Absolutely. Just again, you know, kiosks, making ordering simpler, payments simpler, being able to turn tables over, being able to get more guests in and have the guests be happy with coming back for more.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Roshan? What's the next big idea, the thing that doesn't exist that someday probably will?
Well, I definitely agree with Howard. I think we got to keep everything that Howard said, kept the teammate and the guest experience in mind. And that's the focus that has to be in. And I think the two areas that we want to think about are data and AI. When it comes to data, there is so much data out there, and getting it into consumable bite-sized pieces for the user is so important, right? When you think of how fast data is growing, it's growing at 5 times a year. When you take a look at things, when you look at majority of the large caps out there, market caps out there, you know, who are they? They're data companies. It's Google, it's Amazon, it's Microsoft, right? So, you know, for the first time in history, the most precious material is not oil, is not coal, is not natural gas. It's these companies that are mining data. So how we use that data is important. And then AI is going to keep automating for us. Just this week, I was talking to our Lazy Dog IT team, and they were geeking out on the new Google AI tools that just came out this week. Why? Because it can write a paper for you. It can write code for you. It can create animation for you within minutes. And you know, I think these are the two things that we've got to keep an eye on.
All right, terrific. So now we're going to talk about community engagement. So each of you will have a chance to answer this question. How important is it for restaurateurs to be actively engaged in the community? And let's have Roshan go first.
Great. You know, we're very focused on what we do within our communities. We allow our operators to really keep it at a local level and be the ambassador, be the mayor, and take care of the communities that we do business in. We are always supporting any local fundraising efforts that they have. And then we provide ways for our teammates to engage with the communities and also to connect with each other by doing something good within the community. I think what we have done in a little bit larger scale as a national organization is things like clean up the beaches with United by Blue. We've served police officers to thank them for their service. Mother's Day, our teams went down to Baby and helped with the distributions, all the distribution center stuff that came in as donations. And then Habitat for Humanity, 100% of the proceeds that we collect with our gingerbread houses for the holidays go to Habitat for Humanity. And I think giving back will absolutely continue to be one of the most important pillars because we are privileged to do business in these communities, and we always have to give back.
And businesses really need to put effort and attention into being engaged in the community that they're serving.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Howard, it's your turn. And Howard's laughing because he stresses this routinely.
Did a lot.
So tell us, how important is it for restaurateurs to be engaged in the local communities?
No, it's huge. Like Roshan is saying, when I was at Cheesecake Factory, one of the things that we would do is, again, the general manager would be the mayor of that city, for Cheesecake Factory. And because Cheesecake Factory would hire around 350 local residents, brought lots of tax dollars in. And so at our openings, we would get the mayor, sometimes the governor of the state, but all local officials would come to the opening. We would choose a charity within the community and give a donation. So from the very beginning, we were connected with the community. And, a lot with Cheesecake Factory and a lot of other companies, you can come in as an 800-pound gorilla and just not be a part of the community, still be successful, but nobody's going to like you. And so when you come in softly, and you're very happy to, you talk to other restaurateurs and connect with, the local community. It makes a big difference. Companies that I'm working with since and even now are very focused on their ethnic groups, building and strengthening those areas. And, it's just amazing to see the kind of reception and loyalty that they have.
Terrific, thank you. So it's now time for the final word. This is where each of you leave our viewers with one final message. And Roshan, you get to go first.
All right, final message. We've talked a lot about technology today. I love technology and what it can do in our business. And how it can help our teammates and how it can help our guests have a better experience. But what we can't forget is that Howard and I are both in the hospitality business, and there is a human touch to great hospitality. You can make the experience better, but there's still a human touch. So if there's someone that's out there or looking for some advice, I would say surround yourself with talented, passionate, purpose-driven people. And I think make sure your aligned values are there with them. Build meaningful relationships. Find places that truly want to help you be the best version of yourself. And really, you know what? Have fun doing it. I think one of the core values at Lazy Dog is whistle while you work. And it simply means have fun. And that's something that I have always lived by. That formula has really led me to be able to look each of you in the eye and say that I've never worked a day in my life, and that's important.
All right, terrific. Howard, it's time for you to give our audience the final word.
Well, it's technology, and it's something that will drive this industry into the next century. We were talking about, data mining. There's so much information that is allowed to you through your POS system that restaurateurs have no idea what to do with. So, things that like dietary filtering, analytics, and, so many things that will help with the organization and running of the business. But the parts of really being able to help get a great guest experience, get people in and out of the restaurant, turn those tables, do it with less labor is going to be pretty amazing. And
there you have it, our final word. Thank you, Roshan and Howard, for joining us on today's show. It's great to have you here. Join us each episode of The Leadership Voice, and if you have any questions or need advice, connect with us by email, leadership@fullerton.edu, or on Instagram @CSUF_CFL. So that puts a wrap on today's show. Thank you to our featured guests, Roshan Mendis and Howard Gordon, as well as Professor Jennifer Chandler for delivering today's leadership lesson. Join us each episode of The Leadership Voice, where your leadership is our daily purpose. I'm Jay Barbuto here at the Center for Leadership at Cal State Fullerton. We'll see you next time right here on The Leadership Voice.